You think you own whatever land you land on. The earth is just a dead thing you can claim. But I know every rock and tree and creature has a life, has a spirit, has a name. You think the only people who are people are the people who look and think like you. But if you walk the footsteps of a stranger, you will learn things you never knew, you never knew. Have you ever heard the wolf cry to the blue corn moon? Or ever asked the bokeh why he grinned? Yeah. Can you sing with all the voices of the mountains? Can you paint with all the colors of the wind? You can own the earth and still own the earth, and so you will still. Can you paint with all colors of the wind? Thank you.
God bless you, and good luck on your interview today. Okay. So to everything there is a purpose, and there is a purpose for Children's Services of Roxbury. And Anita Burke-Johnson is going to help us with the purpose. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Power to the people. All right. Well, this is the 8th annual Black History event that we're having here at Children's Services. And today again marks another milestone in the celebration of Black history at Children's Services. It was originally started by Reverend Barbara Simmons, which some of you, if you were here at her retirement, I think now it's probably been a month ago, she started it 7 years ago. And simply it was because we didn't have any event of this type here at the organization that actually honors the men and women in our past history and present under the umbrella of Black history. These are individuals that many of you, when you went in school years ago, there were only a few names that were given to you more present. There's been some names added. But the main point is that we now stand on those shoulders. And we want to acknowledge them and celebrate their achievements. And of course, there's been a lot of back and forth conversation. Why do we need this? But it becomes even more that we become mindful over the achievements that sometimes are not shared to our own children, shared to our community, and shared to the larger community at hand. And so on behalf of this and on behalf of Pam Ogletree, our CEO, and especially the Black History Committee, we want to welcome you. Now, we know that Black History Month, as we should know, originated a number of years ago. In fact, it was back in 1926. And it was founded by Carter G. Woodson. But it was established more as a Negro History Week. Of course, that's the name that we were walking with back then. The month of February was selected at that time because it was in deference to Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln's birth month. When Carter Woodson established it, he really established it in hopes that it would be eliminated because Black history would become a fundamental piece, a part of American history. But that it has not, and so that's why we continue on. So Black History Month here brings to the forefront the inspiring stories of African American icons, many of whom overcame great odds to leave their mark on the United States. And in celebration of this, today you're going to see a collection and learn about Black individuals and their extraordinary achievements that have happened in their fields. But it's not just going to be about George Washington Carver or activists like Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, or athletes such as Willie Mays or Michael Jordan, or even entertainers like Bessie Smith and Oprah Winfrey. We're going to hear about names and their personal achievements and histories that have become synonymous with the rich legacy that is an African American culture. One of the points that I do want to bring to mention is from our beginnings as we've presented this Black History Month. Our first speaker was Reverend Richard Richardson, who is the past CEO and co-founder of CSR as it's established today. The second speaker was his wife, Mrs. Justina Richardson, who was also co-founder. Third year, Mrs. Pam Ogletree, who is now our CEO of Children's Services, led that effort. And the following year was her husband, Charles Ogletree, who is a Harvard Law School professor, heads up one of the institutions over at Harvard Law, and has been a civil rights activist. The fifth year, Reverend Barbara Simmons, founder and chair of this, was the one that was our main speaker. And sixth year, Mrs. Willie Pleasance, who is a talk show host and poet and CSR volunteer. Last year, my name fell off of my print. Last year we had, from NAACP, where's Evelyn? Say his name again? Michael Curry, who is the president of NAACP. I am looking at my eyes crossed there. Okay. Attorney Michael Curry, president of Boston NAACP, who really gave a wonderful walk and presentation around the Black History celebration. One of the pieces that we also linked with the NAACP was that the NAACP adopted the Negro National Anthem in 1919 and was entered in the Congressional Record as the Black National Anthem in the 1990s. And the lawyer, teacher, and diplomat James Weldon Johnson wrote the words as a poem in 1899 when he was an elementary school principal. And this was for the event of the birth of Abraham Lincoln. Also in 1900, his brother wrote the tune, and by the 1920s, the hymn had become a staple in our Black social, political, and religious events as it remains today. And so when we think about some of the achievements of those that we never knew or never heard about, or events that we never heard about, I just highlighted a few before we start. One is lawyer Constance Baker Motley was the first African-American woman ever to argue a case before the U.S. Supreme Court. Another, Benjamin Banneker, was considered the first African-American scientist. Physician Regina Benjamin became the first African-American woman and the first physician under the age of 40 to be elected to the American Medical Association Board of Trustees. And this was back in 1995. But then a decade later, she became our Surgeon General. Also in 1950, Gwendolyn Brooks was the first African-American to win the Pulitzer Prize in Poetry for her collection called Annie Allen. And then Ronald Brown became the first United States Secretary of Commerce, serving during the first term of Bill Clinton. And he was the first African-American person to hold that position and has since passed. So there's a number of achievements, if we think that we've known it all or we've been taught it or heard about it or walked it, there's so much more we haven't. And certainly our African diaspora spans to Caribbean countries, and those that we don't even define as so-called African American focuses, folks down in Cuba, folks in Puerto Rico, and again across back over to the seas with the continent of Africa. So it's great. We have an excellent tool, the internet, to jump on board, and especially if you haven't taken the time as a people to share with your own children. Let's not depend upon our school systems to do that. Let's do it coming from our family and from our community. Thank you.
Indigo Blues, my prayer. The color of life, sound traveling on light, shining a melodic hue hidden under a bushel. Black people, where have we been? Through the fire, hot coals, drenched in dirt, lifted by the wind. Beneath the wings of a mighty warrior, an all-mighty warrior, dressed in indigo blue. A new day in time as we enter a new paradigm. Time, an illusion, a past, his story, so boldly leaving behind trillions of years, a mystery still yet to unfold. Remembering Black History Day, a week, now a month. A year in the eyesight of the Most High is likened to a lifetime here on earth. Now let me tell her story. And it goes a little something like this. Thank you, Indigo Blues, for you are my prayer. Thank you.
Miss Willie Pleasance, would you bless us?
I'm not a singer. So I want you to bear with me. I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around. Turn me around, ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Keep on walking, keep on talking, 'cause you know, I know where I came from. Happy and free, and the motherland being me. That's the way it was across the sea. Not so long and not so far away from Africa, a slave ship was bound. To America's shores was found, with black people in its bellies bound. Fix myself, if I can, to be free in this land. My tribe sold me and my brother. Some was captured by others, enslaved for hundreds of years, with licks and sticks cut on my back, detached from my family as a black. Unable to read or write with just songs about my life, made to work the fields and do the master's will. Fix myself, never wanting me to taste freedom's feel, holding it back to break my will, and using certain words to make me stand still, and letting your jealousy kill. Even when you had to set me free, you still would not let me be. For every law that gave me rights, another law was made to set me free. Drug-filled streets till the early moon to kill the next generation born. Some of us have overcome the oppression, while others surrendered to its obsession. Our powerful leaders were struck down, but still we come back around, constantly fighting for our rights, always keeping hope in sight. You want me to hate my brother, putting one over the other, not giving us respect for one another, and even try to separate us by hair and skin color. But I will not. I cannot accept that which is not right. I will love my sister brother without a fight. It's the only way to shine a light. Black, yellow, brown, we must say it out loud. Teach the next generation to be proud, so our history will not get lost in the clouds. I can fix that which is within my space. Work together for the wealth of our race. With great speed, we have no time to waste. Love each sister brother with multicolored face. for respect is required for our case. And with God, we can do the rest because we are free human beings in this here place. Fix myself. I can to be free in this land.
The first one is I wanted to make you aware that there are a couple of stamps that have been unveiled this year. So I'm just going to take a moment to read something to you before I unveil the stamp. Emancipation Proclamation Forever stamp will be unveiling. We'll be unveiling the Rosa Parks stamp here today, but we have two stamps to unveil. During February Black History Month, the Postal Service pays tribute to the achievement of African Americans throughout the nation's history with the 2013 national theme, At the Crossroads of Freedom and Equality, the Emancipation Proclamation and the March on Washington. This year, in the 50th year since Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s famous I Have a Dream speech, it is fitting that we commemorate two very important milestones during our annual Black History Month tribute. The Emancipation Proclamation and the March on Washington were each turning points in the history of African Americans and the United States. It is our commitment today to continue on the road to true freedom and equality for all in our nation. This year, the Postal Service is issuing 3 civil rights stamps celebrating freedom, courage, and equality. The Emancipation Proclamation stamp, Rosa Parks, and the March on Washington. The Postal Service also is continuing its Black Heritage Stamp Series with the Althea Gibson Forever stamp. Althea Gibson was the first African American to claim the Grand Slam tennis title of winning Wimbledon and the French, Australian, and U.S. Opens in the same year. The Emancipation Proclamation and Rosa Parks Forever stamps can be purchased at the Postal Store, and the March on Washington and Althea Gibson stamps will be released later this summer. If you want to learn more information on Black history and see the clips of unveilings in Detroit and stuff, if you click on the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, you will see live presentations of the Rosa Parks stamp being unveiled, as well as the Emancipation Proclamation. But today, we're going to do better than that, because we are going to unveil the Rosa Parks stamp while we are here today. So, I'd like to ask Steph if you could have a couple of people from Children's Services come up and maybe unveil the stamp.
You know, every year we try to do this to see how much our employees know about Black history. Now, this case ends separate but equal. Who started Black History Month? In this battle, more than 500 Haitians fought against the British Army during the American Revolutionary War. Wait a minute, should we have disqualified her? What TV, music, and dance program in the 1970s? Go ahead, girl, give it to her.
All right.
Now, if you know the answers, take a chance. If you don't take a chance, you cannot win. Born a slave, he created Tuskegee Institute, now University in Alabama, as the first college exclusively for African Americans. This man broke the color line in baseball. Name one of the 2 men who wrote the Black National Anthem.
The missus told me to go and fetch them some water. So I did. Soon they were on their way. And a little while later, heard some more rifle fire. And Mrs. Bryan said, "Tyson, go and fetch them some water." I said, "What for, Mrs. Bryan? They gone." She said, "Don't you hear all that rifle fire? Them Yankees is coming soon. Don't you think they want water?" I said, "I got to go and fetch water for all them Yankee soldiers too." She said, hush, Tyson. You don't want to get boiled before I whip you. Don't you say one word about the massa or one word about the silver. Do I'm gonna skin you alive. You hear me, Tyson? I said, yes, ma'am. Now go. Fetch them some water. While I was getting water, I looked up and I seen one of them Yankee soldiers coming toward me. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what he was going to say or what he was going to do. So I just kept right on doing my thing, you know. He started asking me questions. He looked down and seen I wasn't wearing any shoes. He said, where's your shoes? I said, I took mine off because they hurt my feet. He said, what's your name? I said, Tyson Elsa. He said, they ever beat you? I didn't say anything, you know, because I thought everybody knew that they beat slaves. I'm still carrying the scars on my back today. He said, come on, you can tell me why they beat you. I said, because I goes to sleep looking after the young mistresses cheering. He said, how old is you? I said, maybe 10, maybe 11. He said, you ain't nothing but a child yourself. He said, and I'm going to call you something else, Tyson. Said, because Tyson is a slave name. And we come down here to free y'all. And girls where I come from got pretty names. I said, what kind of names they got? He said, they got names like Sophie and Margarita and Jane. I said, Jane? Jane? I likes that name, Jane. He said, very well. From now on, your name is Jane. And if anybody gives you any trouble, you just come on up to Ohio and tell me, and we'll fix it. Oh, I tell you, I was so happy about my new name. I just kept saying it over and over again. I said, Jane, Jane, Jane. And then the missus told the master that I had sassed her and told her my name wasn't Tyson anymore. So she took a whooping to me. They almost beat me half to death. But I just kept saying my new name, Jane, over and over again. Let me tell you about another important time in my life. I reckon it was about a year or so later. Master Brian called us all together. And we knew something big was happening, because he had on his best suit and his top hat. He said, all y'all gather around and get in close, because I got something to read to y'all. Say these here papers comes through while the war was on, but it wasn't any point in reading them till now. Whereas, on this 22nd day of September, in the year of our Lord, 1862, a proclamation was issued by the President of the United States, containing, among other things, the following, to wit, that on the first day of January in the year of our Lord, 1863, all persons held as slaves within any state or designated part of a state shall be in rebellion, shall then be henceforward and forever free. It just kind of went on like that, you know. He said, y'all can stay or y'all can go. However, if you stay, I can't pay you nothing since them Yankees went through here last time. But I tell you, if you stay, I'll be as fair to you as I always been. Anyway, we all went down to our quarters shouting these free We ain't free. None of us know nothing about no freedom, but we've talked about freedom all the time. People tried picking different names for themselves. Anyway, Big Laura, she was strong as any man. She decided to lead the way. So we kissed everybody goodbye and grabbed our little things, and headed on our way. A slave woman didn't own much. She owned 2 dresses, a coat, and a pair of shoes. Well, we headed out on our journey. Oh, we must have walked for a long time. I don't know how long we walked, because we was walking through the swamps and through the rain and the woods and staying off the main roads, because they said a paddy roller would kill a free man just as quick as they would a runaway slave. Anyway, we walked and walked, and soon we saw a place where we could go for shelter, and we was hungry too. So we ate a little something and sat around, and we was talking about what we gonna do when we was free. Later on, we all decided we better rest a spell and get on our way. So Big Laura, she had a little baby and a son named Ned. And Big Laura told me to lay right down there beside her. I stayed close to Ned just in case, So anyway, we all fell asleep with joy in our hearts and freedom on our minds. And then I woke up to somebody screaming, "The panty rollers! The panty rollers!" I heard people whipping, guns firing, people yelling and screaming, and babies crying. People said, "No, stop it!" And then it was quiet. I had grabbed Ned and we hid. And when I peeked out, I didn't see anybody alive. Everybody was laying on the floor dead. And I grabbed little Ned. I didn't want him to see his mama laying on the floor, Big Laura, so I tried to cover his eyes as we headed on out the door. I said, "Ned, you want to go to Ohio with me?" He said, "Yes." So I grabbed Ned by his hand and led the way. I started thinking of that old Negro spiritual, "We shall overcome." I started singing that. I said, "We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday." And we headed for Ohio. Thank you.
Didn't mean, oh, what to try to live in. Didn't mean, oh, what try to live in